The founder of the bakery, I believe, was born in Switzerland in like 1934 or something like that. What was his story making his way all the way over to Houston and starting a bakery?
He had found out, and this is from what I heard. So just a little background on that. After I purchased, or before I purchased the bakery, he had unfortunately passed away like 6 months before. So never had the opportunity to meet him, but there's tons of stories about him. And really what we've learned is that, he had felt that he had a unique talent, and he had came over to the US for a trip one time and kind of got to talk to some people in Houston, kind of explain what they did. And they're like, no one here does that. This would be great to have over here. So he moved back, and whenever he had the first opportunity to get back to the US with his then girlfriend at the time, they hopped on a plane, got over here, and he found a little pizza shop to operate out of,
Interesting.
because that was the only oven he could find in the city that would let him. So during the nights when the pizza place was closed, he was in there baking gingerbread houses. He did a lot more work with gingerbread than we do
Okay.
now, but that was kind of what led him over here, and really the beginning of his journey.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to get more into kind of the origin stories, but before I do, by way of quick introduction, Dane here is the owner operator of Roland Swiss Pastry and Bakery. It's obviously a pastry and bakery shop based in Houston. It was founded all the way back in the 60s, and Dane is the third generation owner. He acquired the business last year. And so we're going to nerd out about pastries and bakeries and how Dane came to be the owner of the business. So thanks so much for joining me.
Really a pleasure to be here.
When you think about kind of the bakery landscape, I know y'all specialize in like Swiss and European pastries. Give me some examples of like kind of what sets y'all apart from your average bakery.
Biggest thing for us is the danishes. People make danishes; they're around, but the recipes and everything that we use there, I mean, they can't be copied. We are very much still artisanal, so like, my guys are back there pounding everything and doing this all themselves with the recipes, and so that's really what is our biggest differentiator. We make muffins. We do most of the other stuff you'd find in the bakery landscape, but when it comes to the danishes and desserts and bread, we got just that unique twist on everything that we make.
Okay. And when you take like danishes, for example, are you having to hire a baker who has been trained in Europe or kind of understands how to make one? Or are you like taking someone who has some generalist skills and training them on the job? What does that look like?
Yep, just the general skills. The biggest thing for us is all of the employees have been there for 20, 25 plus years. So when the second generation owner took over, they had gotten recipes and everything kind of put together from Roland himself, made sure all that was documented, and through time started training. And it ultimately led to them then being able to essentially just keep a core group of bakers in there that can train, occasionally when you have seasonal help, just kind of explaining, how we make things. And the greatest thing about the bakery world is it's recipes, right? I mean, on a piece of paper, you've got the recipe on how to make this super secret Danish, dough. And so you can kind of pull anyone in to be able to do it and work on it from there.
Okay. So when you think about like why buy a bakery, in this case, it's like the IP, if you will, of what the recipes are. And then you have employees who have been performing those recipes for decades at this point, and really know what they're doing.
Exactly. And that was the biggest thing is I was like, everything's kind of already there. This is not something I would have been able to ever do on my own and get it to this point. But I was like, the opportunity to jump on that and really take a product that I found to be just amazing and unlike anything else I've had in this city. I was like, the whole city needs to know about this. And that is my role now, essentially.
Yeah. When you came across the business, was it as a customer or was it listed for sale or looking for a buyer?
Yeah, so it was listed for sale. I had kind of gone down the rabbit hole, met with some business brokers, and the whole funny joke is I told every business broker I want nothing to do with food. I don't know anything about food. Stay away from that industry in general, especially if
Sure.
you're going to apply any leverage to the business. And somehow this got in my inbox, and he said, "Hey, this I know it's food, but this is what you want, a product. It's got a good name." And so just looked at the sim, and that was really how I found it. And then I did a little secret order on their retail site and went
Very
and
cool.
tried to taste some of the stuff before I went any further, just to see if the product was any good or not.
Sure. And if you kind of zoom out, it's been in business for 60 years at least. It also had a set of owners before you, in between you and the original founder. What are kind of like the chapters or themes of the business?
Yeah. So when they took over, there was a small piece of it was wholesale. He did the Astrodome, and it was a very small business before. Maybe another. It was Roland himself, another baker or two, and then one gal who would decorate cookies. And so whenever Gerhard was his name, whenever he took over, they essentially took the model of what they were doing at the Astrodome and just spread it out through hotels, convention centers, and everything in Houston. So his journey, that the second owner, was really trying to expand the wholesale operation of it.
Okay.
The consistency, the biggest thing is there is no waste, and that's what he was trying to get to, which is very European of him. And I really like it's really incredible that we have like zero waste essentially. So he's just spent those 30 years just building up that base from hotel to hotel, trying to get in there and get our product in there, which at the time there was really no competitors. And we can talk later, but there really isn't any now.
Sure.
But at the same time, he was able to really corner the market and keep, not as much bread, but all the other stuff that we do is dessert pastries and danishes and muffins and all of that.
Sure. Nowadays, what is the split between wholesale and retail?
95% wholesale, 5% retail. And that retail is solely exists because the people and families have been ordering from us for 40, 50 years. We just kind of keep a small selection of things that we know that they like, Black Forest cakes and our muffins and strudels. And so it's great because that's repeat. It's just, it doesn't take much time out. And, it's great to
Sure.
have people that support you to kind of show up every weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was reading the about page, and if I remember correctly, he was like the pastry provider to the Astrodome, like since it was built. Is that right?
Yep. They had someone from what I understand, someone that had worked for Roland ended up in the kitchen over there, and they were so tired of making cookies and doing all this stuff that they were, hey, you should just try to get this guy to sell us some of the product. And then that's how that first relationship started, essentially. And he did
That's amazing.
everything. I mean, anything, cookies. I mean, he did it all.
Wow. And nowadays, y'all still have a relationship with the Astrodome?
Well, Amsterdam's closed, but now
Okay.
it's Minute Maid Park is what is there now.
Okay.
But yes, so
Okay.
we are the only bakery that does that kind of stuff for the convention centers here, for the stadium for the Texans, everyone but the soccer team, which we're working on right now. We need to get in there. But yes, that's continued on forever.
Wow. That's incredible. And then on the sales side, is it largely you doing the new client development, or do you have like a sales team in house?
So right now it is me.
Okay.
And the previous owner, so Gerhard, I mentioned, he stayed on for a year. And after his year was up in this August, he told me straight up, I don't know why I sold this. I love this so
Yeah.
much. So
Yeah.
now what he does is he just kind of comes in to hang out, and he'll
Yeah.
go and meet with a hotel or something for me. Just
Nice.
it's great because he knows I'm trying to get to the point where we can get salespeople and do that.
Sure.
But yeah, so right now it's me. I usually on Wednesdays I'll go just drive out, meet with coffee shop owners or any other hotel that we're trying to get into.
Yeah. And I know bakeries, they have an early start. What time do y'all get rocking in a day?
Yeah. So it's a unique model because that was the other thing. I said no food, and I saw a bakery, and I said, I don't want to wake up at 2 a.m. to do this. So what's nice about the hotels versus our coffee shops is the hotels need all this stuff the day before. So
Okay.
we have normal working hours because right now, like say they're baking everything. They're going to we're going to box it all up, and in about a couple hours, we'll head off to the hotels. At that point, we're able to get all their stuff. Then they can plate it, they get it all ready basically for the next day. They'll put it in the fridge, or essentially they'll wait till the mornings then to unpack and plate them. So on that side of the business, it's great. The problem is we have a couple chains of coffee shops, and understandably, they want fresh stuff every day. So we have a small team that's coming in early in the mornings to be able to get all those ready and then out the door. I think about 4 o'clock is whenever
Wow.
the driver shows up for the coffee shop run.
Okay.
So the place is buzzing nonstop.
Yeah.
And
It's a 24-hour operation.
it just is what it is.
Yeah. 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 What time does that night crew get there? Like 1 or 2 a.m.?
The first individual gets there around 2 o'clock. The crew at the end of the day has already prepped all the dough and everything. So they're able to come in and like I said, we do everything by hand. So they're cutting the dough into the little triangles for the Danish. They're putting them, the muffin mix, they've got it all ready. They're being able to start baking it. And then we got someone just packing it.
Yeah. And then from a facility perspective, what does that look like? Like imagine you need a decent number of ovens.
Yeah, yeah. So we have an oven room, and it's got 6 stacked ovens essentially. And quite frankly, we need more, but you got to make do with what you do whenever you buy business. And so, but what's helped is having that offset scheduling. So the people that handle the dessert pastries, they can come in and bake brownies at a time that's offset from the people making the muffins and everything like that. But the building we're in, it's not too big. I think it's 5,500 square feet. So I tell people wholesale bakery, and they think giant warehouse, but it's more what we're doing is more really like the crafting of nice stuff. It's not mass produced
Sure.
Pullman white bread kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. From a volume perspective, how many pastries are you making a day?
We're probably making muffins. We're making 50 dozen like large jumbo coffee shop muffins a day, 100 dozen danishes a day. And then the dessert side of things, we're making sheet cakes just nonstop. And so we make about 20 sheet cakes a day. And then all of your kind of sort of handheld desserts too.
Yeah,
So when you see at a buffet, cannolis and all that,
sure.
that just, depends on the week, what's going on out in the city. But that could be another, I don't know, 25 to 30 dozen just small little, cannolis that we're literally frying and putting in the ricotta, putting everything in, dipping them in chocolate, putting pistachio
Sure.
on them, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's impressive. And then on the delivery side, is that y'all's trucks that are, going out to the hotels or coffee shops that drop off the goods?
Correct. Yeah. So we are actually one of the few last businesses in Houston that are directly distributing to hotels. A lot of the large conglomerates, the Cisco's, the US Foods, have basically got everyone else kind of in their system now.
Okay.
But we lose a lot of quality control, and that's our whole thing. And they've approached us all the time, but we want to be able to really like say, hey, this is fresh stuff that we're making. It's not from us in a cooler and then out there. So we have 2 drivers, and then I'm the backup driver whenever we need any just last minute requests.
Yeah, yeah. And then from like zooming out from a business perspective, what are the numbers or KPIs like running a bakery that you're looking at on like a weekly or monthly basis?
So for us, I mean, one, you have your basic, you're managing your inventory and your cost of goods sold. It's been the biggest challenge for me before, just trying to find a happy medium, because our biggest thing is people will call us the day before and need, I don't even know, 80 10-inch cakes for the next
Yeah,
day. It happens. These hotels slip up. So in turn, I have to keep a lot of inventory on hand. So basically every week it's looking at what we've purchased for the week and what I can kind of get away with for purchasing the next week. Of course, your labor, right? That is probably the number one whammy of anything food related, restaurant related. Managing that's also tough because these people have worked there for so long that also as a new owner, I did have to kind of come in and be a little careful about that, not just instantly being like, hey, we're kind of spending a little bit too much here on our labor. So over time, we've kind of changed schedules up to make that work more. And then lastly, the biggest thing with us being distribution is vehicles and vehicle maintenance. Trying to optimize our routes as best as possible to bring down the cost of our gas going out there, delivery drivers' hours to begin with, right? Back to labor again.
sure.
And then ultimately, vans. My one oversight of this business is I wish I would have taken a little more thought about the vans that we're buying. They're fine, they
Yeah.
work, but that's one of those things where every other month it's in there for some other maintenance. And
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
I right now I don't have a backup van, so we've got a little minivan that we're running off in.
Yeah, yeah. From a culture perspective, with employees having been there for so long, what were some of the interesting kind of rituals or dynamics at play in the bakery?
The biggest thing was, it starts with fear for all of us. I'm scared someone's going to quit, and I don't know how key of a personnel they are. They're scared they're going to get fired, their hours cut, anything like that. So it started off just and no one knew how to interact with each other. But over time, what the biggest changes is really the previous owners, they were on their way out the door. They were retired. The wife would come in for a couple hours a day when she needed to be there 8 hours a day. He would kind of come. They kind of were doing whatever. So really what changed was more of they kind of have someone now to really be like, hey, like I need this, or this is going on, or we need to adjust schedules. So over time we've really got more, they're like, oh, this is nice. They kind of been left to their own to do whatever, which is fine. But now when we talk culture and when we're talking about this, it's very much it's we've got the trust now. They know they can count on me to make sure something I've ordered shows up the next day. They know the
Sure.
orders as soon as they come in, they're going to get them now and not wait till the previous owner came in at noon and was like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of orders you need to finish in 2 hours. And then everyone's panicking kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And on like coming up to speed on how to manage inventory, I imagine is kind of scary and challenging because it's so critical to the business. Are a lot of the orders just kind of like on repeat? So kind of baseline, this is how much I need?
Yeah, so that was my biggest find of the business of really how to improve things was putting people on standing orders. People would kind of be ordering the same stuff every week. And so what I did is when I came in, we got things back up to market price where they were. But then when I told them, I said, hey, 15% discount if you basically put a standing order in. And so, of course, back to the same prices they were already paying. And in turn, I was able to get from them these standing orders. So all of our coffee shops, like we know every week what they're going to need, which helps, like I said, with that baseline of what we're ordering, especially when it comes to just all of our mixes for the muffins and everything. In turn, though, what I have found is our niche is we can pump out anything a day before. We can pump out anything 5 hours before if it's needed. So where I kind of got in trouble at the beginning was I was ordering less and really trying to manage inventory as well as possible. And in turn, it turned into me running around trying to drive to these suppliers to pick up extra mix because we needed things for
Right.
cheesecakes or anything. So in turn, what we were able to kind of do now was build up an appropriate amount of inventory for what we need. And then from there, I don't mind. I tell them like Wednesdays, look at everything if you need me to go pick up a bag or something like that of things.
Sure.
And in turn, though, I mean, I think our goods bought every month is down like 15% as of right now. So fingers crossed it kind of stays like that. But I was able
Yeah.
to really bring that inventory level, that consistent ordering every week down
Okay.
by a fair amount.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then you have like this kind of baseline, but then you still have enough inventory to deal with the spikes when a hotel messes up and needs a bunch of cakes last second.
Yeah, exactly. And you would be surprised how often that happens. But hey,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
there and they know they can trust us to do it. So
That's awesome. On the pricing side, you said kind of build up to market pricing, which was around 15% or so from where they were. How do you figure out what market pricing is with like danishes in Houston, for instance?
I mentioned kind of our competitor is the frozen side of things. So we purchase things from Cisco. So it just started with me going on their website and digging through and figuring out what they were selling. I could look at that. And then the other thing was the light bulb moment. I tell everyone it was the best thing that ever happened, even though it was both of our drivers were out for like a week with elective surgery and one got sick. And I needed to probably go out and do a morning round C. So I got in the truck for a week at 3:30 a.m. and drove and delivered. And just by chance, competitors were delivering at the same time. You're able to
Yeah.
kind of see what's going on and you go, oh my gosh. I couldn't believe it. It was like this big, holy cow. I had no idea what this stuff should be going for. So in turn, I reached out to the customers. I kind of let them know and no one batted an eye. I mean, they've been making enough money off Roland's forever that they're kind of like, okay,
Sure.
you're not overcharging. You're just at market price now.
Yeah. 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 That's great. And what led you personally to want to buy a business?
For me, I had the kind of just drive to do my own thing. It's always been around. When I was in college, I somehow was the general manager of one of the main bars at school at the age of 20. I mean, it was kind of a natural thing. I just business I love and like just getting to steer things and really like make things my own. I'm one of those passionate people that like, I'm going to wear a Roland's hat every day of my life as long as I own this business, that kind of thing. Like I wanted something really to be my own and see that. And I had a great corporate job. I tell you when I was a project manager, but like most project managers, there's the drive for more. And it was just not doing what I needed in my life. And I said, hey, I'm 28, may as well take a chance, see what happens. It was this, go get an MBA, go do something else. And I said, this is I've got no kids. I'm not married yet. So I was like,
Yeah.
let's go see what I can do. And that's really
Yeah.
what led me down this path.
That's awesome. And if you were to give folks advice or think about going into the bakery space, I know you kind of started with maybe don't go into the food space, and then here you are owning a bakery. What would kind of your pitch for the space be? And then what would your words of advice or warnings be?
The biggest thing that I've learned about food is once you're in it, it's addicting. I understand why these people run restaurants for 20 years and they're not making any money. It's just
Yeah,
there's something that you're providing to people that you wouldn't get any other way. It really is the smile when someone gets a cake from you and you give that to them and like they're going to eat it and come back for more. That was just one of those things to me. I didn't know what I was prepared for.
sure.
Obviously, there's these people that are chefs. You've watched The Bear or whatever shows, and they're like,
Right,
it's
right.
a passion. While I didn't have the food passion, it's taking over my life. I mean, I love it, and I understand completely now. But at the same time, this space is just especially the bakery, like it's always going to be time consuming. As much as I like to pretend I could maybe get another job or I could work a corporate job while owning this, it'll never happen. And so that is my word of advice because a lot of people reach out and talk to me, and just like I did, and I tell everyone, man, I had this grand idea. I was going to buy a business and run and still have a corporate gig and do everything. And
Right.
there's businesses you can do that, but I tell people all the time, it's like it just it just isn't the case, especially
Yeah.
with bakeries. There's too much to be done, and and it's a good thing, right? There's always growth. There's growth feels a lot more feasible. And so that's what I tell people on the side of staying away is if you're looking for something where you're like, oh, this is mailbox, it's not mailbox money. It
Yeah.
never
It's
will
not
be.
passive income.
So
Yeah.
yep, exactly. Exactly. So that those are usually where my conversations start with searchers that reach out. Hey, there's listings for bakeries in every city you see. Now, wholesale at our size, maybe not as many, but when they do reach out, I always say, hey, I had the same thought, and I'm just going to tell you now, it's not going to be possible. So prepare for it. And so luckily for me, I was kind of warned by the previous owners before. They're like, if you want to do this, we'll sell it to you at a fair price, but you're not going to be able to keep your job. And I say, hey, thanks for letting me know up front. Make sure I, had a good plan for the next couple of years. And so, yeah, worked
Yeah.
out.
Speaking of kind of plans, what do y'all use traction, or are you using some type of framework to deal with the SOPs and goal setting?
No, no. So, a little more of my background. I was a continuous improvement consultant, so Lean Six
Okay.
Sigma. I had a black
Yeah.
belt and
Yeah.
everything. And so while I'm not using essentially other systems like any of that, like
Sure.
I am taking from my learnings on that and what I did.
Okay.
So when I was at my corporate job, that's what I was doing was basically helping people write SOPs all day.
Sure. Sure.
That was my job. And that's why I was like, oh, this small business thing, the more I learned, I was like, this
Yeah.
is what I do every day. Why not, try
Yeah.
to build something myself? So a lot of it has been, I'm up at 5 to go help out with some deliveries or go talk to customers. I'm in there training the new manager and the new office. I have office manager and kind of like a sales manager, kind of working with them. And then at the end of the day, it's whatever went wrong during the day ends up on a piece of paper. I make them type it up, put it in a book, and I say, and now we all know you have it now, kind of thing. So really, like framework wise, it's just for the time being, that's what it looks like.
Okay. Got it. And then from a camaraderie standpoint, I know business ownership can be a little bit lonely at times. Do you have kind of a peer group of other owners, either in the industry or in town, that you hang out with, or kind of trade tips and tricks?
I've we had originally there's a great group in Houston run by a guy named Reed. That's ETA Circle, and a lot of people kind of know about it. And that's where this all started and how I met some other people. But since I bought the business, it's kind of consumed my life. I've looked for peer groups, but until recently, I've been there for 12 hours a day that I couldn't even
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
doing anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of months, I've made more of an effort to try to find those people and find some people to
Sure.
bounce things off because my fiance she loves to bake, but she's about tired of hearing about business every single day I come home,
Yeah.
which seems to be a common thing
Right. Right.
with that I hear from people, and that's usually we all kind of get together, and that's what I've noticed is like, yeah, she's kind of tired of hearing about that, and this guy's
Yeah.
wife is tired of hearing about it, so then we just commiserate together, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, as of now, no. But the value I had of just simple conversations with people that
Sure.
occasionally I can pick up the phone and talk to. I mean, it's incredible, and I can't wait till I get to the point where like there's a weekend I can fly off and meet with a group of people and really just like talk business for the whole weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dane, thank you so much for giving me some time and sharing your story and about Roland. It's been really cool to hear about.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is, like I said, first opportunity to talk on a podcast, listen to all of yours. So it was
Yeah.
really, really great question.
Yeah. Awesome.